I am a 28-year-old man and have been with my girlfriend, a 30-year-old woman, for almost 8 months now. Things have been perfect between us. Our connection is strong, we communicate well, we enjoy all the same things, our chemistry is amazing, and all the boxes between her and me are checked. However, I'm having a really hard time with her 9-year-old son. When she and I first started dating, she told me that her son is really difficult. And boy, was she right. I don't think I have ever in my life met someone so disrespectful, mean, and ill-mannered. Anytime my girlfriend walks into his room, you immediately hear, "What do you want?" He talks back with a snarky attitude about everything. Any question that you ask him gets a quick no, even if his real answer is yes. Asking him to put his shoes on because we need to go somewhere, he yells that he can't do it because he doesn't know where his shoes are. They are by the door, as always. Then my girlfriend goes and grabs his socks and shoes and puts them in front of him and reminds him kindly that we need to leave and we're waiting on him. His response is, "Why are you so mean?" My girlfriend can be having a conversation with someone and he'll continuously try to interrupt. And when she says, "Remember, you need to wait your turn," he comes back with, "I said stop talking." And while my girlfriend continues the conversation, he's in the background just making obnoxious loud noises. When he asks for something he can't have, he becomes very argumentative. For example, he asks on a weekday if he can have a sleepover with his cousin. My girlfriend responds with, "Honey, it's a weekday, I'm sorry but no." And his response is, "Why?" Then my girlfriend tries to respond but can't get 2 words in before being interrupted with why? Then she'll try to respond again, only to get interrupted with why. Again, this goes on for a minute, then he'll scream, "Ugh, you're the worst mom, I wish I wasn't your son." He's an iPad kid, and when his time is almost up for the day, she'll walk into his room to give him a heads up that he has about 10 minutes left. Then usually 20 minutes later, she goes in to tell him it's time to get off. This causes a full-blown meltdown. He screams that it wasn't 10 minutes, yells at her that she's the worst mom, says he's not done yet, and demands it back and starts getting physical, etc. While out at an outdoor mall, he asks if we can go to the Lego store to look around. We go there, and he grabs something and gives it to his mom and orders, "Buy me this," to which she responds, "No, honey, we're not buying anything. Maybe for your birthday or ask Santa." Then he shouts, "You said I could have something! You're such a liar!" in the middle of the store. She pulls him out of the store to talk to him, and he just stops and full-on screams at the top of his lungs and then crouches on the ground. You can't ask this kid to do anything without a fight, and you can't interact with him without him having an attitude and yelling. He won't eat most of the time unless it's chicken nuggets or a hot dog. He won't follow any rules. And he is like this with everyone: friends, cousins, grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc. He doesn't have any friends because kids don't like being around him. I've seen my girlfriend snap at him, spank him, take things away, wait for him to calm down, and then explain things to him, and nothing works. He continues the same behavior every day. My girlfriend shares 50-50 custody with the father. She says that how her son acts is a spitting image of his dad. Aggressive, argumentative, mean, unreasonable, and that worries her. Now, I don't just sit by when the outbursts and talking back happen. I back up and support my girlfriend, and I call the kid out when he's acting out, even though that does nothing. But I don't feel it's my job to discipline. Plus, the kid is already 9 and has been parented a certain way, and I'm an outsider stepping in. He already has 2 parents. After doing some research on my own, I'm pretty confident that he has undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, and possibly is on the autism spectrum as well. My girlfriend asked me early on in the relationship if her son would cause an issue with me wanting to eventually get a place together. I told her no, thinking that he just needed a good role model and to see how I treat his mom. Flash forward to now, I've come to realize that being those things isn't enough. How he behaves is learned behavior partnered with a lack of discipline and what we believe to be mental disorders. My girlfriend and I have been talking about getting a place together when our lease is up this year. After everything with her son, I don't think I can. I had a talk with my girlfriend and told her that I am uncomfortable getting a place together yet because of her son's behavior. I need my home to be a place of peace and rest, and I don't have either of those on the days she has him. I worry that it'll bring out a side of me neither of them deserves. I don't want to build resentment or change the way I act because I'm uncomfortable around her son's behavior. I told her that I need him to get diagnosed and treated, and I needed to see improvement in his behavior before I'm willing to take that next step with her. While she understands where I'm coming from, she is upset and feels like I don't love her as much as she thought. I've expressed that it has nothing to do with how much I love her. It's not her. She and I are perfect, but I don't like her son's behavior, and I can't just look at her when pursuing a life together. I have to look at her son as well. And as of right now, I don't like him, and it wouldn't be good for him to have a man living with him who didn't like him. Love isn't enough to make a lifelong relationship work. Now I'm worried. What if it doesn't get better? Am I just wasting her time and mine? She can only do so much for him being in 50-50 custody and the father not being on the same page with parenting. What if a year from now there's still no improvement? At that point, we would just need to end things. I worry that things won't get better because her son's dad doesn't see much of a problem because he's the same way. I don't want to drag this on and have this all hurt even worse a year from now if we do need to part ways. My question is, am I a jerk for letting a kid decide on the fate of my relationship with a woman I deeply love? Am I doing the right thing? Should I just move in anyway because I love her even though I know I won't be happy in the home? Should I just end things now? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Are you ready for this child to become a permanent part of your life? Like forever, in the event that you move in with her. His biological father could die or run off, and that would leave your girlfriend with 100% custody. I personally would never get serious with someone whose child I did not actively want to embrace as a permanent part of my life. You may love your girlfriend, but the child isn't going anywhere. You absolutely should not move in with her unless she is able to get his behavior under control. She also should not be talking about moving in with you yet, because that would be yet another destabilizing and traumatic thing for her son to go through. Comment 2. Leave. You will potentially become very unhappy and resentful towards her and/or her son. I married someone who didn't get along with my children, who started taking his resentment out on my children and me. Maybe you aren't like him, but why risk it? She's a package deal, so if you can't stand the child, just walk away because the child will always come first. I divorced my now ex-husband this year due to this exact situation. If you're not compatible with the child, you're not compatible with her. And by leaving, you're saving yourself, your girlfriend, and her son significant grief. You're only 8 months in. Don't wait years like we did. Now, for the update. It's been about a month since my last update, and I'm still with my girlfriend, but things are still tough. My girlfriend invited me to her son's school play, hoping it would be a good experience for him. Her son was cast as a tree in the play. I thought that was a harmless role. At the play, he refused to go on stage, throwing a fit backstage. My girlfriend rushed to calm him down, leaving me standing awkwardly in the crowd. After the play, he yelled at me for not being his dad when I tried to congratulate him. My girlfriend apologized for his outburst and suggested we talk later. She mentioned that she's been trying to manage her son's behavior, but feels overwhelmed. We agreed to work together, but I noticed no real change in his attitude. His behavior got worse when he started refusing to eat dinner unless it was his favorite fast food. One evening, he threw a plate of food on the floor in protest, causing a mess. My girlfriend was upset and asked me to help clean it up, but I felt frustrated. I suggested a family meeting to discuss his behavior, but she hesitated. On Easter, we had a family gathering at her parents' house, which added more pressure. He acted out again during the family dinner, refusing to sit at the table. I tried to engage him in a game, but he ignored me and sulked in a corner. My girlfriend's parents expressed concern about his behavior, suggesting professional help. She dismissed their concerns, saying it's just a phase, which frustrated me. A week later, his father showed up unexpectedly at our apartment, wanting to talk. He confronted me about my role in his son's life, leading to a heated argument. My girlfriend intervened, leading to a chaotic scene where her son started crying. After his father left, my girlfriend blamed me for escalating the situation. She felt defensive but acknowledged that her son needs help. We agreed to seek family counseling but had differing opinions on how to approach it. His behavior continued to worsen, leading to more arguments between me and my girlfriend. At a family dinner with her friends, he misbehaved again, causing embarrassment. I tried to help by distracting him, but it only made things worse. My girlfriend later told me that I need to be more patient with her son. As tensions grew, my girlfriend suggested a weekend trip to help us reconnect. The trip was planned at a cabin, but her son refused to go, insisting on staying home. He overheard us discussing the issues and confronted me, calling me a failure. Thank you for reading. Edit. It's been a few weeks since the trip, and my girlfriend and I had a serious talk. We decided to take a break to focus on her son's behavior. She is now committed to family therapy. I still care for them, but it's tough being apart. I'm unsure of our future together. Am I the idiot for breaking up with my alcoholic ex and refusing to take him back despite his stalking? We've been dating for about a year. I really do love him and care about him, but he's a pretty intense alcoholic and constantly lies to me, especially about his drinking. I believe the straw that broke the camel's back was a couple of weeks ago when he literally took my card out of my wallet while I was in the shower, used it, and tried to lie to me about it when I was looking for it after the shower. He literally said, "Maybe you left it at the bar last night," knowing full well he used it not even an hour prior. This really upset me because he knows I absolutely do not mind paying for him, as I have been while he's been financially struggling, yet he stole from me. Anyway, I decided to end it this Saturday. I have been thinking about it and wanting to do it for quite some time, but haven't really done it because he's a little reckless and I was afraid he would do something stupid. Well, I went to a bar down the street that night, and he showed up completely intoxicated, barely able to stand. I was shocked, and the waitress and security guard were talking to him by the time I left. Apparently after that, he fell and hit his head, and they called an ambulance. His mom told me this. He's fine and everything. I did go visit him at the hospital the next morning. Apparently, the doctor said he's never seen alcohol levels this high before. His mom was in tears and everyone is really pushing for him to get help, including myself. But I made it clear that we are no longer in a relationship, that this is something he needs to do for himself and separate from me. He's been going through bouts of binge calling me since then, texting me. I didn't answer most, but I did answer a few calls because I felt bad, and I'm worried. He keeps making promises of getting better, keeps asking to come over for cuddles and things, and every time we talk, he'll say he loves me and tries to force me to say it back. I kind of put my foot down when we talked earlier at noon, so I haven't heard from him since. I just feel so bad. I wish he wasn't hurting so much. I don't want him to do something foolish and risk losing his job. He just got promoted but had to go to night shift for it. I'm very worried about him. But I've been feeling trapped in the relationship and I can't do it any longer. I'm not really sure what advice I'm asking for. To add, thanks to everyone who responded. Sorry I didn't reply to anyone. This is a bit tough for me. It's unanimous that I should go no contact with him. I won't block him because in my state, there needs to be evidence, like something needs to happen to be able to get a restraining order. I did completely stop responding to those who predicted he'll just show up at my apartment. Well, he did this morning when I was getting ready for work. He was sober though, thank God. I didn't let him in, gave him his stuff back so he has no excuse to come back, and told him once again it's over and to leave me alone, and if he does it again, I will call the police. I just bought a Ring camera off Amazon and it should arrive later today. I signed my lease not too long ago, so I have a year on it. It would be super expensive to try and break it. He unfortunately knows where I work and live. I'm very scared. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. One of your first steps should be cutting off contact. He is your ex, and that necessarily means you cannot be the first line of emotional support for him anymore. He can whine about how sad he is to his own support system. This man stole from you and is a drunken fool. Cultivate some coldness towards him. Block him if you want, but you may want to keep the lines open, but not respond in case he starts to escalate when he can no longer cry on your shoulder. Evidence is helpful for dealing with drunken fools. Comment 2. You are not responsible for his choices. He is an adult man who makes his own decisions about his own behavior, and it has nothing to do with you. You cannot save him from himself, nor should you sacrifice yourself trying. Move on. Block him, go out of town with some girlfriends or something. Don't go to places where he knows he can find you. If he chooses self-destruction, you have to understand that it's his choice and not your responsibility. Don't let his mother convince you otherwise. Block her too. Now, for the update. 2 weeks after that whole mess, I guess I'm getting used to being on my own. It's a weird vibe, not being in constant chaos. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still feel like I'm on high alert all the time, but not dealing with my ex every day is a relief. My friends have been great too, just checking in on me and making sure I'm all right. Honestly, I don't think I'd be doing as well if it wasn't for them. I've been trying to focus on work and just getting back to some kind of normal. And by normal, I mean not feeling super stressed every second of the day. I stopped responding to my ex's calls and texts. At first, I felt bad about it. Like maybe he was really trying to get help or something. But then I realized, no. He was just trying to get me back, and I wasn't having any of it. A week ago, he sent me this long text saying he was in a support group and that he really wanted to get better. I didn't even read the whole thing, just skimmed it and moved on with my day. Work was busy, and I had other stuff to deal with. One morning, I found this note slipped under my door. It was from my ex, and it was asking to talk, like in person. He said he wanted to apologize for everything. Just reading that made me feel uneasy. But I locked my door and didn't think much about it. I didn't tell anyone about the note either. I didn't want to freak anyone out or make a big deal of something that maybe wasn't a big deal. Then, like a few days later, I noticed a strange car parked outside my apartment. It was just sitting there for hours. It was there a couple more times throughout the week, and that's when I started getting a little worried. I took a picture of the license plate just in case, but I didn't think much else of it. Last week, I was getting groceries and ran into my ex at the store. He approached me while I was in the checkout line and started chatting like we were old pals. He looked sober and tried to engage me in some small talk, asking about work and random stuff. I just calmly told him to leave me alone. He got all defensive, saying I didn't understand him and that he was making real changes. I didn't want a scene in the store or anything, so I just quickly left and got out of there. The next day, I thought it was time to switch things up. I had been going to that same grocery store for a while, and maybe it was time for a change. So I tried a different one. While I was shopping, I bumped into my friend Sarah. I hadn't seen her in a while, so it was nice to catch up. She invited me to a small gathering at her house that weekend, and I was all in for that. At the gathering, I noticed my ex's friend was there. He brought up my ex, saying he was struggling but was trying to get better. This made me uncomfortable because I didn't want to talk about him. I brushed it off and changed the subject. The following week, I got a text from my ex's friend about a party he was having. He said my ex would be there and that I should come. I didn't want to go anywhere near him, so I declined the invitation. Later that week, I got an unexpected package at my door. It was a bottle of wine and a note from my ex saying he missed me. The note was all sappy, but I didn't even read it all. I just threw the bottle away. The next day, I saw that same strange car parked outside again. This time, I called a friend to keep me company for a bit. My friend noticed how weird the situation was. We decided to go out for dinner to get our minds off stuff. As we were leaving the restaurant, we spotted my ex outside. He approached us, looking all disheveled and desperate. He tried to plead his case, saying he had changed and that I should give him another chance. I firmly told him to leave us alone, or I would call someone. He stepped back, looking shocked. The following week, I got a call from my landlord about my ex. She mentioned he had been seen around the building multiple times, and that she was concerned. I started documenting everything, just in case I needed it later. I also contacted a locksmith to discuss changing my locks. I didn't want to take any chances. Thank you for reading. To answer a few questions, my ex's friend didn't know how bad things were between us. When he mentioned the party, he thought I would be okay with it since he believed my ex was improving. I didn't feel comfortable mentioning the strange car to my friend when she visited. It seemed minor at the time. I haven't shown any of my friends the note or the text from my ex because I didn't want them to worry unnecessarily. After the grocery store incident, I considered changing my shopping habits to stay safe. Now I'm focusing on getting my locks changed. Am I the idiot for finishing the fireplace my husband promised to build and causing a family meltdown? My husband and I have been married for 8 years, together for 10. We have 3 young kids, a 6-year-old male, a 4-year-old female, and a 1-year-old female. He works in the trades, and I am returning to teaching in September after spending a few months recovering from the damage my previous job did to my mental health. I mention this because even though most of my days are good, I still have some moments where I ruminate on that trauma, and maybe what I'm feeling now has to do with that. I don't know. Over the past couple of days, I've been struggling to get through my day-to-day. I don't know if it's just been a couple of bad days, or if I just need some alone time to recharge a bit while taking care of the kids, or if I'm just going stir-crazy from looking at the same 4 walls. My husband is a great husband and father. He is very hands-on with the kids when he is home, and the shared chores are usually split pretty evenly. But he has a couple of flaws that are grating on me. The first is that he is so helpful to everyone. He would drop everything to help others, which is great, but it usually happens at my expense. I can't even count the number of times weekends have passed with me and the kids sitting on the sidelines while he plays the white knight for someone else. Because he is handy, both of our families and friends have projects that they want him to do, and he will do them. Meanwhile, we have enough projects of our own. We are missing trim in rooms, the basement is unfinished, a window needs replacing in our bedroom, and so on. This leads into the second flaw, his inability to finish anything for us. I'm stuck looking at a house with projects started but unfinished. My living room fireplace is a prime example of how these flaws hurt me. When we first bought the house 2 years ago, he promised me that the first thing he would do is build me a fireplace wall with built-in shelves. It's been sitting partially finished for at least a year. Meanwhile, I had to watch him finish a similar project for his sister in 3 weeks. I understand that she was paying him for it, but it still hurts seeing her beautiful living room while mine is in disarray. There are other examples, of course, like the whole fiasco with our ensuite half-bath. I had wanted it done before the birth of our 3rd child. He instead helped the neighbor drywall his living room, and my bathroom was completed 4 months later. It was so much fun sleeping in a construction zone with my newborn. Right now, he is off helping my dad with a project. I'm at home, looking at the unfinished fireplace and feeling unfulfilled. I have some rudimentary do-it-yourself skills, but with 3 children underfoot, it's not a project I can undertake right now. On top of that, I'm also busy trying to prepare for the school year, but it's hard finding uninterrupted time for that either. Right now, the kids are having a rare moment where they are not squabbling, but they still demand attention, which I barely have the bandwidth to give. And as kids are, I clean one room, and the next looks like a tornado, and someone always needs something. I just feel defeated and stuck. And I resent my husband for getting to leave the house and actually do something worthwhile while I'm stuck here with nothing to show for it. I resent my dad because he is getting his projects done while I stare at unfinished things around the house. I just want someone to take the kids so I can get things done and feel like I can accomplish something. But it seems that even though we live steps away from both sets of grandparents, they are too busy to even offer. And if I ask, I get the "we'd love to but" response. I desperately need a break, and I need my husband to care or show that he cares. But when I've talked to him about the projects, he claims he needs time or money to which I have asked him to give me a quote on what he needs to finish these so we can budget, and he doesn't. Now it's become a running joke with our mutual friends and family. I'm just so frustrated because he is so good in every other aspect, but I just feel like I'm only a priority if everyone else is fine first, and they are never fine. Is it just me being in a funk? Am I reading too much into this? Or is there a way I can communicate this in another way? I feel like I don't matter. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's using the excuse of helping everyone else as his social or fun time, leaving you to deal with the unfun parts of family life. Also, are these other people paying him? If so, that money should be going to finish your work. Maybe tell your dad and other relatives that the handyman service is closed until further notice. Comment 2. He may appear really helpful to others, but to his partner, he starves. He has his priorities upside down. I think it is a personal issue. He needs some counseling and boundaries. Tell him to stop helping everyone else but his partner. It would almost be better to be his friend. You would get more care. Now, for the update. 1 week later, and I'm still just as frustrated about my husband's unfinished projects and lack of attention to home life. Honestly, I don't even have the energy to go into the details again. It's been a rough few weeks, and I'm just going to try to get through this as best I can. Decided to tackle some small tasks around the house to feel a sense of accomplishment. Basically, I was just trying to do something that would make me feel better. So, I cleaned out a closet and found boxes of old toys and clothes that could be donated. While sorting through all that stuff, I discovered a half-finished scrapbook my husband started years ago, intended for our kids. It was sweet and all, but also just another reminder of how he's always got time to do stuff for everyone else, but never gets around to doing it for our family. Anyway, he agreed to help me with the kids for the day, promising to work on the fireplace project later. I thought maybe that would be the push he needed to actually get it done. But of course, he ended up getting a last-minute call from a friend who needed help with a home repair, leaving me alone again. So there I was, juggling the kids while cleaning and organizing the house, wishing for some actual teamwork and not just empty promises about helping out. At dinner, I brought up how the fireplace project is still unfinished. He brushed it off, saying he'll get to it when he has time, making it sound like a joke. Like, seriously? Your wife's been waiting 1.5 years and that's your response? The kids were excited about the scrapbook, and he seemed annoyed that I wasn't engaging with him. He tried to change the subject, but I kept working on the scrapbook while the kids cheered me on. It was just one of those moments where I felt like I was doing something meaningful for our family, while he was just being a distraction. During dinner, he casually mentions that his sister is having a birthday party next weekend and expects him to help with the decorations. Of course she does. The next day, I decided to take the kids to the birthday party to show my support. At the party, I noticed my husband was busy organizing the decorations and chatting with family. One of his relatives jokingly asked why he hasn't finished the fireplace yet, drawing attention to the issue. He just laughed it off, which honestly made me feel even more frustrated. Like, he thinks it's funny that he's neglected this project for over 1 year. After the party, I confronted him in the car, asking why he seems to care more about his sister than our family. He claimed I was overreacting and that he'll get to our projects when he can. This led to a heated argument where he accused me of not being supportive of his family. Back at home, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I knew I couldn't wait on him anymore. So I made a plan to finish the fireplace myself and gathered supplies from a local store. I spent the next few days working on the fireplace late at night after the kids were asleep. He noticed the supplies piled up, but didn't ask what I was doing. On the weekend, I revealed the nearly completed fireplace to him, showing him what I accomplished. He was taken aback, and I told him I couldn't wait for him anymore. That was when our argument resurfaced. He accused me of undermining him, and I countered by saying I was done waiting for his help. It was time for both of us to take responsibility. The argument escalated, and he stormed out, saying he was going to help his sister with her home project. I finished the fireplace that night. The next day, I decided to invite my in-laws over to see the finished fireplace. making it a point to showcase my work. During the visit, my husband seemed embarrassed and tried to downplay my effort. The in-laws praised me, and it made him uncomfortable. The evening ended with him sulking. The unresolved tension lingers as I prepare for our next family gathering. Mini update. The family gathering was a disaster. My husband was in a terrible mood all evening, and our argument from the previous week kept coming up. He told his family that I did the fireplace project behind his back, and they sided with him, asking why I couldn't wait for him. I felt ganged up on, but I stood my ground, saying I was tired of waiting on him for everything. After the gathering, I told him I was done fighting about this. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.